Good morning to my subscribers in the Philippines. Good evening to my subscribers in America and beyond. Welcome to my channel, Sunshine Shoulders. Before I get started, I just want to thank everybody for all your well wishes and all your condolences on the death of my 4-month-old granddaughter. I really appreciate it. It helped me so much. I was talking to one of my subscribers last night on the phone, and I just told him that this is just one of them things that's going to have to take some time. Nothing ever prepares you for something like this. I've never experienced it before. I never even held the little girl yet. That was my plan. Once the pandemic died down, I was going to take a trip home for about 2 weeks, because that's about all I can take of the United States now. About 2 weeks, and come back. But now that's canceled, obviously. I've been talking back and forth with my daughter, and that's who I'm really worried about. It's a parent's worst nightmare to have to experience something like that. So thank you so much. And one more thing, see, I used to be one of those guys where I didn't want a whole lot to do with foreigners and expats overseas. But that's really changed after yesterday. I see how important it is to have some friends, some supporters, because things like this are going to happen. You're so far away. Remember on my video that I did, on why a lot of retirees bypass the Philippines, logistics was one of the reasons. When you have a tragedy, you have an emergency, it's just so far away. So when you have people like I have, man, because I'm going to tell you something, when I started this channel, little did I know the support group that would just rise up around me. Man, I got so many calls and emails and stuff yesterday. It blew my mind. It really changed my perspective. I mean, you don't have to come over here and be best friends with anybody and hang out with them and all that, but I've changed my mind on that. I really need people over here who speak the same language I do, who think along the same lines as I do. I need that just in case something like this happens. So I just want to say, yeah, I was wrong on that, man. I've changed my mind after that yesterday. But Sunshine Shoulders, we're a channel that's geared toward the new man and woman who's never been to the Philippines, who's contemplating a visit here. My 11 years doesn't make me an expert, and if I come off as a know-it-all, I really apologize. I'm really just trying to be helpful. I'm trying to help you to avoid a lot of mistakes, a lot of problems I had. I want your trip to be enjoyable, and above all things, safer. I'm boots on the ground here. I'm right in the middle of all this. I'm not like a lot of those other vloggers that you see talking about the Philippines. I live among the locals. I'm going to give you the nitty-gritty. Never going to sugarcoat it. The nitty-gritty is just simply what I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing, what I'm living. Never going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to tell you how it is, and it's not going to change today. I was asked the question, how do I get around here? Or more specifically, what's the best way to get around when you get to the Philippines? And I've got some good experience with that, especially if you live in one of the bigger cities, Manila, Cebu, one of Quezon City, Cavite, Davao, one of the bigger cities. You're going to have more options than me. I live in St. Carlos City, Negros Occidental. It's a small second-class city. Very nice place, but there's no public transportation. There's no taxis here. Imagine that. There's no taxis here. So I only have 4 options. I can either walk, which Quezano Mall is not far from here. City Mall is not far from here. I can walk. But by the time I get there, I'm going to be sweated out. My clothes are going to be sweated out, and I don't want that. But that's one option I got. I can buy me a motorcycle if I wanted to, but I don't drive here. So my only 2 real options I have here, number 1, is riding the tricycle. That's the motorcycle with the sidecar attached to it. Now, pre-pandemic, it would carry 5 or 6 Filipinos. But for me, I always commandeer it by myself. It costs 10 pesos, so I usually give the guy at least 30, because see, during the pandemic they can only ride 3 passengers. So I'll at least give him 30, but most of the times I give him 40 or 50 because I'm in there by myself. Because I'm big and, you know, I just don't want that. I'm scared of that COVID. I'm not one of these conspiracy guys. I believe it's out there, okay? And that's enough of that. Or I can ride what's called a pedicab. And that's the bicycle with the small sidecar connected to it. That's even cheaper. I think that's 5 pesos. But they only service a little small area, of course. Now, if you're in somewhere like Cebu, because I don't know a whole lot about Manila, and I apologize to the people who are going to Manila, but if you have a question about the transportation there, put in the comments. I can get you the answer. But in Cebu, I know about, because I lived in Cebu over 2 years. And Cebu is a modern place now compared to in 2009. I mean, they've got, of course, taxis. They've got public transportation. They got real nice buses now. They've got jeepneys. They've got tricycles. And they also have pedicabs. And, of course, you know, you can, if you're going to be there for 2 weeks, you're going to have the option of renting a motorcycle if you like. Or you can hire a private driver. But taxis, I'm going to discourage you from using taxis, not because of the other things I warned you about, because taxis are very, very expensive over here. And I know, see, what our magnificent Western mans will think, oh, hell, from my hotel to SM Mall, that's only 200 pesos. Okay, yeah, but then you got to come back, that's 400 pesos. Then you're probably going to go somewhere else during the day. You're going to average anywhere between 600 and 1,000 pesos a day if you deal with that taxi. Now, taxi is more convenient. It has the air condition. Okay, so if you don't have a problem spending that kind of money, then go ahead and take the taxi. But the longer you be here, you're probably not going to want to use that option a lot because you're going to spend a lot of money. I would suggest in Cebu that you use the public transportation. Their buses now are very, very nice. I mean, they're new, air conditioned, but some of the buses, like now the malls, the major malls like Robinson, SM Mall, Ayala, they have shuttles now. And the shuttles in Ayala and Robinson are free, but I think the one in SM, I think it's 35 pesos because it actually takes you a little bit other places. It makes a little bit more stops than just the SM Mall. But that would be my mode of transportation first. Then second, in Cebu, they've got these new jeepneys. They haven't replaced them all yet, but for foreigners who are basically going to be living around the touristy areas, downtown, stuff like that, it's a good option for you to ride these new jeepneys. Not the old ones. And if you're trying to save money, the jeepney is going to be your best route because it's only like 8 or 9 pesos depending on where you live in. But it's uncomfortable. They're built for small people, and they're slow. I mean, they stop, man, you know, every 100 feet. You know, people getting on, getting off. You know, it's going to take you forever. By the time you get to where you going, you're beat up mentally, physically, spiritually. You ready to just get in a taxi and come on back home. And that's one thing about jeepneys I don't like. They're uncomfortable and they're slow and they're hot. But that is another option for you. Then you can rent a motorbike. You're going to be here for 2 weeks. And you want to rent a motorbike and you want to be adventurous and get out there in that traffic. See, that's a way that you can do it. And then usually that's somewhere around 300 pesos per day. And then, of course, you got to pay for the gas and all of that. But it's an option. Then you have the tricycle, which is the option here I was telling you about. But in those big cities like Cebu, they only service a general area. Like I was living in Labangan, the area called Labangan. And if I rode a tricycle, that's all I could go. I couldn't take a tricycle from where I live to, say, SM Mall. They're not allowed to go outside their little borders. Same with the pedicab. So I would either have to jump on the jeepney, taxi, or go out there and wait on one of the buses. But you've got a lot of options in these bigger places, but stay away from the taxi. It's very, very expensive. Ride the bus if you're in Cebu, or one of the new jeepneys. Stay away from the old jeepneys unless, you know, you just want to get nostalgic and you just want to try it out, because it's slow, it's uncomfortable, it's hot, and you're going to get beat up. You know, people reaching over you. You know, now with this pandemic, I wouldn't go anywhere near it anyway. It's closed, confined space. You're tight in there, and you know your chances of catching that COVID increase. So those are basically the ways to get around. And like I said, you can walk. You can walk, because I see a lot of backpackers, man. They walk. You know, but backpackers, you know, they're trying to save as much money as they possibly can. I mean, every cheap accommodation, transportation, they're going to do it. Dining, you know, so, and they're another big resource of information, because they know where everything is. These backpackers, if you ever see a backpacker and you really want to know what's going on in a city, or where to go for the tourist places or the beaches or something else, stop them. You'll see them. They got the big backpacks on. You'll see them. A lot of times they just scruffy looking, like they've had their clothes on for 2 or 3 days. You know, the men, the beard, like it's the women's hair is kind of unkempt. But they're very, very knowledgeable about this place. And so they're a great source of information, and I like to joke with them and have fun with them. Sometimes I'll buy them a cup of coffee just to kind of grill them and get some good information out of them. So that's another free tip for you today. You see a backpacker, man, they're a wealth of information. Don't just look at them as these rich college kids out on an adventure in the Philippines. No. This is your handbook on the Philippines, a walk-in handbook. They got so much, you know, wealth of information, they'll give it to you for free. So thank you for stopping by. You know, I made a decision. I'm going to push on. It's better to do that. Seems like I've been gone for a long time, man. I only missed 1 day. So I'll probably do another video later on something else. But thank you so much. Your kind words, your thoughts, you know, your prayers, to all the people that pray out there. I mean, it meant a lot to me, man. You carried me yesterday, really, you did, because my emotions was all over the place. I was angry one time, you know, sad, you know, discouraged, you know, guilty, you know, that I couldn't be there for my daughter. But, you know, just the comforting words, you know, the support from my viewers, from my subscribers, man, it meant the world to me yesterday, and I can never thank you enough for that. So if you're in America, it's not too late. Before you let your head hit the pillow, please help somebody. If you're on one of them late grocery runs, you see somebody out in the street, buy them something to eat. Give them a couple of dollars. Buy them something to drink. If you're in the Philippines, it's still early, man. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. We've got the whole rest of the day to find somebody to help, because it's very, very important that we help somebody. Because if I don't know anything else, I know this one thing for sure. When we help other people, we help ourselves. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I hope this was helpful to the person who asked the question. Stay COVID free, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.